You gotta appreciate the irony that the cyborg ship is known as the Soulless One. Here's your look at the Jazzwares Star Wars Microgalaxy Squadron Series 3 General Grievous' Starfighter. The Starfighter Class Series 3 box set is the best way to complete your Star Wars Microgalaxy Squadron collection. If you were unable to grab every vehicle and micro accessory when they first launched in stores, then this set was made perfectly for you. Hello there. Before we look at General Grievous' Starfighter, courtesy of the Microgalaxy Squadron Series 3, I'd like to thank, if I can, the folks over at Jazzwares that did provide the sample we could have a look at. This one is rare, but not maybe as rare as Poe Dameron's X-Wing, which I think was limited to 5,000 copies. This one actually goes for 15,000 copies. It might be a little bit easier to try to track one down. Still, though, if you haven't had any luck to find one in the wild, you can actually get this one as well as the remaining 4 Starfighters that make up Series 3 over on Jazzwares Vault's site. It's limited to 1,500 copies, but at least you get yourself 5 vehicles for $100 instead of trying to track each of these down individually. The set as a whole, again, it's $100. You can click the link down below in the video description. We're going to start from like the back canopy section here of the Starfighter, and we'll go all the way to the front. Grievous's ship of choice is actually 5 inches exactly in length, or it's going to be 13 centimeters long. Bringing in the Starfighters we've looked at so far. On one side, here's what General Grievous' Starfighter looks like along with Poe Dameron's T-70 X-Wing. On the other side, here's what it looks like, though, with Anakin Skywalker's Jedi Starfighter. From a size standpoint, I think Grievous is a little bit more closer to the Jedi Starfighter. It maybe isn't, though, as pointy on the front, but it's almost about the same length. Grievous's has much more of a compact, almost car design for his Starfighter, and it certainly, though, isn't as sleek as, say, for example, the T-70 X-Wing. One thing also that's a little bit different, though, with Grievous's Starfighter is that while the other two on either end of him did also come with accompanying droids, Grievous's has none. It may not have a droid, but at least it has a Grievous. To come included, though, with the Starfighter, you do get yourself a little micro version of General Grievous. I've still kept him contained inside of his plastic prison. Nice little touch is the fact they actually did put General Grievous down below here. He's fairly easy to remove. You're just going to take the back cardboard and just fold it down like this, and then just reach from the side and pull out the tray. Even if I just lose any of these only ultimately going to be going into the recycling anyways. Either I'll have General Grievous displayed alongside of his Starfighter, or I'll just simply put the dear General inside. When you are, though, putting him inside, I'm not going to do it just yet, you want to make sure, though, that you remove his cape. Just because the way that they designed his feet, obviously they're going to be bending in order to sit inside the cockpit. Then you're going to have to remove the cape because the cape doesn't really bend too much. It is the only unfortunate thing about having the figure with a cape like this is, while it does look good if you have the figure displayed on his own, if you do want to put him inside of his Starfighter, after all, you're going to have to remove the cape, and then you're just going to have to find a place to put the cape. Maybe if I have a little bag of extra accessories, I'll put it in there. But then what's the off chance that I go back to it years from now and I say, like, well, what's this tiny little cape? Who does it belong to? Anyways, though, the detail for General Grievous, get the cape back over his shoulders there, it's a decent painted figure for, again, its size. You really, again, have to look at these, and you have to look at them with the sense that they are a small figure. I mean, like, there's the size of my thumb. I don't have a big thumb, by the way. And if just to even compare him with Anakin, I mean, bring back in Anakin Skywalker, they're about the same size. Maybe Grievous is just a tad bit taller. Painted, they haven't taken the time at all to paint the faces. But again, like, if you look at it from the side, you can still make out General Grievous has eyes. You might even be able to see the fact he also has teeth. For his articulation, he doesn't have anything in the way of the head, but he does have at least joined together arms that when you move one, the other one has to tag along. He also does have posability down below in his legs, although unfortunately with mine, the legs are really overly loose. If you did want to put him inside the cockpit, though, you will have to remove the cape. We'll just put it off to the side here. I want to make sure I put it at least in a place where I know where it is and who it actually belongs to. And then, of course, if you want to put him inside the Starfighter, sad thing, unfortunately, about the Starfighters, they didn't call it the Soulless One on the front of the packaging. I guess Soulless One doesn't market as well if you want to have this on the shelf. Starfighter, I think, seems a little more kid-friendly than calling it the Soulless One. Anyways, though, if you want to put him inside it, you're just going to take the cockpit, and if you're going to probably have a few times where you're going to have to grab something like a screwdriver. Just take, there's a little lip right there, but I just don't have the nails for it. Just get a screwdriver or something in there just to wedge that open. Get that open up. There's what the inside cockpit looks like. There's little joysticks there on either side. No paint applications, but again, for how small this is, I don't think it really necessarily needs them. Then you're going to take yourself Grievous, and then just fold Grievous's legs and kind of sort of just tuck him down in there. There we go. Ultimately, he'll end up holding on to the handles of his joysticks. That's okay. And then we'll just fold down the canopy. Snap that in place. Now, at least Grevious isn't going to be going anywhere. we're going to be having to probably keep the screwdriver nearby because there's a few little things on the vehicle that are going to have to fold out. The Solus one, I think, is like a feed-in auto, scalable, assembles, I think it's like a Bullabog 22 Starfighter. Trying to remember all that. It's a decent vehicle. I never really was a big fan of the design of it in the movie, though. I mean, it sort of just is a stocky looking, almost floating car. Kind of looks a little bit like the Batmobile from the 1989 movie. The things that I do like about it, though, is that there's things that actually move. Now, when we've looked at, obviously, the other ones from Series 3, they have all had landing gears that fold in on themselves. Grievous has to have one of the worst designed, and it's not really faulting necessarily Jazzwares, but just the design of the vehicle. He has landing gears on the front and on the back. If you can fold these in, but unfortunately, when you fold them in, I'm just going to do it with one right now. You're, first of all, putting a lot of pressure against these. I feel like these would almost even snap. But you just push them down like that, and they sit inside the cavity there of, again, I want to say the car, but of the Starfighter. We'll do the exact same on the other side. Now, you can probably already see the problem now I'm going to be facing is now trying to retrieve this. I found the best thing to do, again, just grab yourself a screwdriver, grab something that isn't going to damage the plastic. And then instead of grabbing it from the front, I found if you just lip it on the back here, you can usually flip this back up. There we go. And then you can grab it by your hand. So those fold out. You know what? I'm going to do the other side as well. I'm going to fold these back out. He does also have a landing gear in the back. Now, this doesn't seem to move at all, but he does have the little fin on the back that folds up. I'm trying to remember if in the movie it folds up when he's flying it. I think it is the case because if you put it down as it is right now, it doesn't sit flat. If you, though, bring this down, because this comes down at 90 degrees, it does give him a little bit of extra height where now it sits more leveled. The other thing that the vehicle also does have as well is that he's got these little side cannons. The cannons, for all intents and purposes, do also lift up. But it's really hard to kind of get anything in there in the way of fingers. Fingernails would be your best friend this time around. Once you basically just flip the lip up or flip the little cannon there on the front, you just kind of grab it on either side, and then you just kind of wiggle it up. So he's got these cool little side cannons, which again kind of reminds me of the 89 Batman movie Batmobile. And again, you just pop these back down. Though the plastic being so thin, I'm just really worried that these side cannons, these little guns that he has on either side, would break if you're pulling them up and popping them back down. But I do like the fact that from a playable standpoint, there's a lot of things that you can actually move around on Grievous' Starfighter. Getting a closer look, though, at the details. First of all, it's kind of molded in a almost bluish purple. Really like the coloring scheme for this. It also has some additional striping here that doesn't seem to be sticker applications. I think they've actually, well, again, like if you're looking at this, they clearly have painted this in a different bit of paint, and then they've also striped these off as well. Sort of gives them a tribal look to it. I really like the design of it, but like in the movie, it really was a very underwhelming Starfighter. He's got some nice detailing there also on the side as well. Kind of like an off green. The green and the blue work pretty good together. And he's got a little bit of silver there on the back. The only other thing is, again, I probably would have gone in there and painted the thrusters just because it doesn't look like it actually is moving. On the bottom there, he's got some additional paint there added with the silver. Little vents on the side that's also done there as silver. One of the unfortunate things about vehicles like this is that they have to take like a top half and a bottom half and sandwich them together. And then in order to keep everything together, they have to add these screws. You're never really going to see it when you're looking at it this way. You certainly would never see it when you're looking at it this way either. The only time that you really see the visible screws is when you look at the undercarriage of the ship. It's the only thing I really don't like about it. The plastic, obviously, these are plastic vehicles, so they're a little bit lighter than if they were, say, die-cast. Obviously, it keeps the cost really low if they're also molding these in plastic versus the die-cast. I like it, though, but I don't know if I would say I like it as much, though, as the other two vehicles. I would certainly say, like, comparing it with, say, the X-Wing. Got to go back to the X-Wing. X-Wing is so far my favorite vehicle from Series 3. Again, we also had a look at Anakin's Jedi Starfighter. Like a look at that one as well. General Grievous, from a standpoint of an actual Starfighter he has in the movie, I'm glad at least we got one in Series 3. While I feel like the vehicle design is a little underwhelming, I do like that, at least, like with all the other ones, that there are things that at least you can move around on it. The only thing, unfortunately, again, about it is that the landing gears are struggles to get back out. I would always probably just permanently keep these on display with the landing gears out, especially, obviously, to have these strutted like this, you can at least have the way, you can have the vehicle leveled and flat on the shelf. unless you're one that likes to have these things hanging from the sky, that might be the only time, in fact, that you may want to fold these in. But I'm really happy and more just content to have them display with the landing gears always out. Just because I did blunder it a bit in the review, the soulless one was actually a Feathen Autra Scalable Assemblies Bell Balob 22 Starfighter. For the obvious reasons, not being able to fit that all in the packaging, I think Jazzwares maybe was smart just to simplify that a bit by calling it instead General Grievous Starfighter. You know, though, I would argue the point that this line is clearly geared towards adult collectors that have the available, disposable income to start buying up these things. I would have just called it the soulless one. Even if the marketing team behind Jazzwares is thinking, you know, soulless doesn't really resonate if we're really hoping to reach the demographic of young collectors. I say no. Call it the soulless one. Boba Fett's ship was Slave One. Let's just stick with what works. I don't know if I would say the design of this vehicle works as well from a movie standpoint. It's a very bulky, cumbersome looking vehicle. It doesn't have the sleek design, perhaps, of an X-Wing, but maybe it fits quite well to the kind of character that General Grievous is. One nice little touch, though, is that General Grievous is included with this, whether you decide to display him on his own with his cape, or you decide to remove the cape and put it in someplace where you're not going to lose it, and then put Grievous sitting inside the cockpit. I love, again, the fact that this line of Galaxy Squadrons, Micro Galaxy Squadron vehicles all have included accompanying pilots that can sit inside their vehicles. It adds to a little bit of playability, whether it be geared towards the demographics of young collectors, or it's more clearly geared towards the adult collectors instead. The colors are good. I mean, obviously the landing gears are a bit of a struggle to get fished back out. Once you get them in there, don't want to push them too far in because you're only going to have to fight to get them back out. I like the fact that the little cannons pop out from the sides. That's a nice little touch. It's a nice little vehicle. It's just not my favorite, though. Now, again, if you guys are interested and would like to get your hands on this and maybe don't want to pay the prices that maybe this particular Starfighter is going for online separately, you can, of course, do the simpler thing of going simply to Jazzwares Vault's site. It's limited to 1,500 pieces, granted, but the Starfighter Class Series 3 box set is available as of right now for $100, with 3 of the starships we've looked at so far, with the other 2 on the way. The other 2, by the way, is going to be the V-Wing Starfighter, and we're also going to be going back a bit by looking at Poe Dameron's X-Wing. Not the one we looked at before, a white variation. All of those are going to be part of the 5-vehicle set, and it's, again, $100 right now on Jazzwares Vaults. If you guys are interested, get this one for yourself. Big thank you once again to the folks over at Jazzwares that did provide the sample of one of the 5 vehicles from the Starfighter Class Series 3 box set. Today we were looking at the General Grievous Starfighter. Soulless one. What do you guys think of this? Let me know down below in the comment section. Let me also know, let me just throw this out as a viewer question for you guys. What's your least favorite designed Starfighter from the Star Wars trilogy? You know what? Not even just the trilogy. What's your least favorite Star Wars Starfighter, in all of the Star Wars films and series? Let me know down below in the comment section. I know some people don't like Y-Wings. I don't mind a Y-Wing. But what's your least favorite? Let me know down below. If in the meantime you guys did enjoy this video, I want to throw it a like. If you guys are loving the content you guys are seeing, and you want to stick around for the reviews of the V-Wing Starfighter and Poe Dameron's T-70 X-Wing, did you already review that? I did. This is going to be a slightly different variation of that. Make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. Make sure you turn on the bell notification, and make sure the most important thing is that you're coming back. As always, guys, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.